me an email today and they asked me how to get your horse round and keep your hands quiet. So I figured that was a good video because you probably have that same question. And this is something that a lot of us struggle with. It's always a challenge. You know, we want our horses round and on the bit, we want our hands quiet. And how do you accomplish this without looking like you're doing too much? So be sure to give this video a like, comment, and also check out, I have a free rider assessment quiz for you to take below. So this is Don Carlos, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. The first thing, if you want to get your horse round, is you have to get your horse going forward. So that's always the first step, is your legs. So if you don't want to just start it at the halt, you want to always start with a little forward impulsion. So I'm just gonna have him walking here, and he's a little distracted because there's things going on, and so he's gonna do his little, like, I'm just gonna put my head up and not listen. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna establish a light contact. So you can see here I don't really have contact. Contact is defined as when there's a steady pressure from the bit to the mouth. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to shorten my reins a little bit. I'm going to take my hands a little wide, and I'm just going to establish a steady contact. And he already took a big sigh, and he's like, I know what's coming. So he already put his head down. But once you establish a contact, you're going to think about closing your inside leg. So you're going to push your horse off of your inside leg and keep your outside rein steady. And then what you're going to do with your inside hand is you're just going to squeeze your fingers. So it's always important when you use your reins to not just go right away to seesawing with your elbow, but you want to start by just squeezing your fingers. See if you can get a reaction from that. And then if not, you're going to want to bend your wrist and then go to your elbow. So back to getting him round. The first thing is I always want to get my horse forward, and it's important that your horse will go forward on their own so that he's just walking and my legs are long and I'm not having to remind him about it all the time. Then I'm going to get my nice steady contact on the outside rein. Then if I want him to get a little rounder, the first thing I'm going to do is not pull on the rein. The first thing I'm going to do is push a little off my inside leg. So I'm going to give him a little, there I gave him a little kick with my inside leg. I'm trying to get him to step into the outside rein, and then I'm going to take and give a little bit on that inside rein. And when his neck drops down, I'm going to soften a little bit. Like, I'm not going to throw him away. I'm just going to kind of soften my body and lighten just a little bit the contact. And then I can pet him a little on the inside rein once his neck is down. So I think that's really important, that when you want your horse to get on the bit, the first thing you need to consider is getting them forward. So he knows about going on the bit, but let me see if I can make him not go on the bit, and we'll work through that. So if I'm trotting around here and he's just playing his little game and he's like, I'm not going on the bit for you, the first thing I'm going to do is get him going forward. So I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? Go forward. I really don't care if your head is up. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get him steady in my outside rein. I'm going to get contact in both reins. And you can see already he's putting his head down because I just took steady contact. I wasn't pulling back. Then I'm going to think about pushing him off my inside leg and into that outside rein. And I'm going to use my wrist and ring fingers on the inside rein. And then when his head goes down, I'm just going to kind of send smiley faces to him. I'm going to tell him, oh, you're a good boy. Thank you for going round. So, but it's really important when you want your horse to go on the bit, first thing is always your leg. Get them going forward. Second thing is establish a steady contact on two reins. So just get feeling like you have steady pressure in the left rein and the right rein. Not a lot, just a few ounces. And then the third thing is your diagonal aid. So you're getting your horse off the inside leg and stepping forward into that outside rein, like so. So I have him in my outside rein. I can flex and give on that inside rein. And he's round. Good boy. Okay, so for the second part of that question is how to keep your hands quiet. I already kind of gave you one hint, which is that I think that we forget that we can do very small movements with our fingers that are invisible to people watching, and that will have an effect on your horse. So like if I'm at the halt here, I can get my horse round without moving my hands like all over the place by just simply moving my fingers. So you can just kind of squeeze your wrist and ring fingers. You saw him give there a little bit. When you just simply squeeze your wrist and ring fingers, you can teach your horse to give. You know, having a metal bit in their mouth is a lot of pressure. Their mouths are really sensitive. So there's no reason that you should have to be like starting a lawnmower to get your horse to react. You should just be able to use your fingers and get your horse to react, and that's going to allow you to get your horse round and have a nice steady and quiet hand. The second piece to that equation is that if you are having trouble keeping your hands quiet, you need to work on your seat. So in order to have a quiet hand, you have to have an independent seat, which means that your hands work independently from your seat. So the main job of your seat is to absorb the motion of the horse. So if I'm sitting the trot here, my seat and my lower back and my hips are really absorbing the motion of the horse. And then the way that I keep my hands steady is that my elbows are actually bending and straightening a little bit to take up the bounce. But it appears that my hands are steady. Lots of times, if you're finding that your hands are like bouncing like this all over the place, it relates to your seat. So when you tighten your seat and your seat is no longer moving with the horse's back, like let me show you. See, then my hands start bouncing and get unsteady. So if you want, sorry, Don Carlos, this horse is so sensitive, he doesn't like it when I don't ride him correctly. But so if you want your hands to get quieter, you have to improve your seat. That's very important. Good boy. And same thing goes for the canter. In the canter, if you find like your hands are flying all over the place, like up here and all over the place, it's probably because your seat is not connected to the horse's back. So if you're having that trouble where you feel like your hands are not staying quiet, think about lowering your center of gravity. Think about sitting on your horse. Think about your center. I have a video on centering yourself, which I'll link in the comments. But all of those concepts are going to help you to find a steadier hand. Good boy. So I hope this video helps you to get your horse round and get your hands a little steadier. Good boy.